Welcome into Boxing Scene Today. I'm Jimmy Smith at the ProBox TV studios. When you look at rematches that lived up to the hype, Bivol versus Beterbiev certainly did that. A great come-from-behind win for Bivol. But the third fight over Benavidez, according to Turkey Al-Sheikh, he's the man holding the purse strings. We discuss it here on Boxing Scene. I'm Jimmy Smith, flanked by the champs, Chris Algieri and Paulie Malignaggi. Gentlemen, first off, we never really unpacked the fight. Paulie, you and I did a watch-along for that fight. The one thing that really occurred to me is Beterbiev, I don't know if he got old in that fight, but he's getting older as these fights drag on. For the trilogy, are the odds going to be really skewed for Bivol?
You know what? I think it's always a tough fight. I think both fights were tough, but I thought Bivol won the first one, and he didn't get the decision. I thought the second one was a little closer because I thought Beterbiev actually was about to take it on a stoppage and by the middle rounds. If everybody remembers in the middle rounds, Beterbiev had a real run at it, and I thought Bivol was really uncomfortable. But these fighters from the East, bro, they're mentally so strong, and Bivol turned it around and, ended up coming out ahead in the end. But Beterbiev's getting old, of course. I mean, age is a real thing, but this guy is still a very difficult guy to beat. I couldn't, if you match these guys up a bunch of times, I think you're going to get a very similar fight because 1 and 2 were similar stylistic fights. Yeah, okay, the momentum changed a little bit differently because in the second one there was a big run Beterbiev made in the midpoint of the fight, and then Bivol made a big run in the late part of the fight. But overall, stylistic, if you watch the way they fight, position-wise and punching and punch selection, all that stuff, it's very, very similar, and I think you're going to get that kind of fight each and every time.
But when you look at the trilogy, what I don't like, you're a fitness nutrition guy. You always are, Chris. This idea that I saw Beterbiev folding a little bit late. And as I was watching, I was going, he ain't getting any younger. In his early 40s. Are we just going to see a real decline in the third one, yes or no?
I'm actually not going to blame the age on the second fight. I just think that Bivol made very smart adjustments from the first fight. If you notice in the second fight, he answered with combinations, not single punches. And again, they swapped. To Champ's point, I think if these guys fight 100 times, you're going to get 100 close fights. And, in the first fight, it was Bivol was on early, Beterbiev late. This fight was the opposite. It was like Beterbiev was like early, he had a charge in the middle, and then Bivol really ran away with it towards the end because of the combination punching. I just felt like he found his groove late. I don't need to see a third fight. I think that Bivol made the adjustments that are going to make the third fight pretty similar. I think they're all going to be similar. I just like you did, I had Bivol winning the first fight. I had him win the second fight even wider. I don't see how the third fight's really different. The only thing I would argue is that Bivol got a chance to adjust. Beterbiev should get a chance to adjust for a rubber match because he did win the first fight.
But shouldn't he have had a chance to adjust after the first fight? Because at least 70-80% of the people I spoke to thought Bivol won. You just
took my next point exactly. Beterbiev fought the same fight both times. Whether he started earlier or started late, that doesn't. Stylistically, what he did in the first fight was what he did in the second fight. The only guy that I saw make a tactical adjustment was Bivol, and he was much better in the second fight, I thought. And I just believe he would do it again in the third. And to your point, and on top of that, Father Time. Yeah. So I don't necessarily need to see the third fight. If there's a big push for it, I get it. I like the Benavidez-Bivol fight.
but okay, so Turkey Al-Sheikh has said Benavidez-Bivol no longer on his radar, not interested in sanctioning that fight or paying for it. Paulie, what's your thought on that? Because a lot of people agree with Chris that, man, that might be the better fight. Younger, hungrier guy, could be a possibility. Looked great last time out. And he's looked good at light heavyweight. Is this idea that are we getting the trilogy just because we have to, more than there's an appetite for it from real boxing purists? What's your thought?
If you look at the history of trilogies, a lot of times the third one happens a little bit later. Mm-hmm. If you look at it, a lot of times in trilogies, the first two fights happen right away because there might be a close fight the first time around, so you run it right back.
It's red hot.
And then when they split, it's like, that's how it's always going to be there. They can actually go in a different direction. I would be tempted to say that the only problem is if you're going to do that, Beterbiev's not getting any younger. That's the only issue. But at the same time, you also have a fight where you're going to probably see the same stylistic fight again for the third time in a row. If you put these guys 20 times,
I think 3 times in 9 months.
Yeah.
What do you expect?
So that's also why there's a piece of me that says I'd love to see Bivol and Benavidez and see what comes of that. Now, I would favor Bivol in that fight. I think Benavidez's pressure is terrific. He's an exciting fighter, but I also think that it's a little bit one-dimensional in that it's at the same look all the time, coming at the same speed all the time, and Bivol has the ability to sort of offset that with those in-and-out traps. But I'd love to see it because Benavidez, seems to be getting better and better at light heavyweight, and there's more to see here. So off of that, you may generate some interest. Okay, the winner put him in with Beterbiev. Maybe Benavidez wins that fight. Maybe Bivol wins that fight and shows some things that you want to see against Beterbiev now in the third fight. It may actually make the third fight more interesting, or it may create a demand for Beterbiev and Benavidez. I think you're throwing some extra spice into the recipe by making Bivol and Benavidez first. Because like I said, it's not foreign that the third fight in a trilogy typically happens later. I mean, from classics like Holyfield and Bo to,
Sugar Ray Durant.
Yeah, Sugar Ray. I mean, Sugar Ray and Durant, we want to figure the third one. But
forever after the second fight, yeah.
But nonetheless.
I mean, Canelo and Triple G, the third fight, way too late.
Yeah, the third fight, way too late. And that's the thing. That's what the other risk you run there, right? If you do wait, because Beterbiev is not young, are you waiting to do that? And if Bivol does that and he beats Benavidez and Bivol does that, are you going to fault him? I mean, I don't remember people faulting Canelo. We were all haters if we faulted Canelo for making Golovkin wait that long, right? Yeah. By the Canelo blowhard. So, I mean,
but the only condition that we would consider making him wait is only because he's older. It wouldn't be because it would be that long away. They fought twice back to back, very, very close fights, right? If you do mix in Benavidez, and I'm going to disagree with you. Yes, I favor Bivol because he's Bivol and he looks so damn good in that Beterbiev fight, but I can't get the visage out of my mind of Canelo Alvarez pinning Bivol along the ropes as much as he did in their fight. And he's a much smaller guy. So
Alvarez pinned Bivol? You think that much? I mean, there were moments early on, but
absolutely.
But by the end, it was Canelo just laying on the ropes.
But no, in the beginning of the fight, middle rounds, absolutely punching. Remember, and Canelo was doing the punch in the arms thing. They did the Callum Smith because Bivol would earmuff along the ropes. He does that with Benavidez.
But champ, if my aunt had bull, she'd be my uncle. I mean, every
smaller guy
every
can put
fight
you there.
Every fight you're taking, because he didn't let Beterbiev really do that. You know what I mean? I think you know who you can and you can't do that against, and your game plan may change or not change accordingly to your opponent.
Yeah, yes and no, but I don't know.
He knew not to do that with Beterbiev. We could have said that. Oh well, if he lets Beterbiev climb on the ropes, he's going to be gone. Well, he knew that too, so he didn't do it.
That is a good point, but I don't know the youth of Benavidez, because that's the opposite of Beterbiev.
And that's the thing with Benavidez. He's getting better and better,
and he's big and he's youthful.
Even at light heavyweight, the first fight with Vozick, he saw a little bit of struggles.
Against an awkward guy.
He won well, though. Yeah. But you're like, okay, is he the same at light heavyweight? And then against Morel, I thought he looked even better.
But if you think about...
there's an ascending light heavyweight here.
If you think about what it was that put Bivol along the ropes, it was the hand speed of Canelo. Canelo does have fast hands. Benavidez has fast hands.
But he doesn't close range. I mean, Bivol kind of put himself on the ropes a lot of times.
What I'm curious about...
Canelo doesn't close range fast.
Here's one thing I'm curious about. When you say, I've seen enough, at the end of the second fight, once again, you and me, Paulie, we're watching it live together, I thought, we know who's better. They might get a third fight. Yeah. I think we know amongst these two fighters, Bivol and Beterbiev, who the better fighter is, and it's Dimitri Bivol. Is that how you feel, Paulie?
I do feel that way, but there's always that Beterbiev power, man. I mean, it just, when you got hits like Beterbiev, you're just like, I don't know. Guy could be better, and then he could be sleeping too. But with Bivol, one thing he's shown is that he's been able to offset. Go ahead.
I got a movie quote for you. On a long enough timeline, everyone's survival rate goes to 0.
Fight Club.
Good one.
Love it.
The more time you spend with Beterbiev, the less chance you have to survive.
All right, the other side of it.
I thought that could happen in the second fight, but Bivol looked fantastic.
Look, the other side of it, and I really have to ask you guys this, is when I was sparring, I did kickboxing, MMA. Power didn't scare me as much as a guy who was versatile that I couldn't figure out, or a guy who was fast, and I don't know. It's the old, Chris Tucker.
You're talking to two
which
guys.
Which one of you guys hit me, right?
So.
But this idea that it seems like once you have power figured out, you can deal with it. You don't figure out speed and combinations and all those things. And the idea that Beterbiev, while powerful, may have been just a little easier to figure out than a guy like Bivol.
But the difference with Beterbiev is he's not just a puncher.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth.
Like when I fought Ruslan Vanikov, he was just a puncher.
Yeah.
He had fast hands on the inside, but he was just a puncher. Yeah. And once I figured him out, so did the rest of the world. He was a
never the same guy after
that. He was 500 fighter after that.
Yeah.
And Lucas Matisse even said, he's like, I just watched the Algieri fight. You just got to box him up around. Yeah. And with Beterbiev, the difference is that Bivol outboxed him.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's why it makes that third fight even less enticing for me.
But the thing is, Beterbiev is not just a puncher, like you said. Beterbiev has a little bit of boxing. It's just that Bivol's natural talent.
Yeah.
Bivol's natural talent, that speed in and out, like you said, that versatility that used to make you nervous, Jimmy. Bivol
So
has some of
dynamic.
that, and he has the resistant chin to it. So now you're like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
you know, it's. I think it's interesting though, because as much of a resistant chin he's had, we still saw Joe Smith hurt Bivol when they fought. So he is hurtable. So again, the thing is always there.
But in that fight, he was in dominant control, and he
he
got
kinda
a little
fell
sleepy.
asleep.
Got
Yeah.
a little
But
lazy.
I'll tell you
Got
what.
a little bit.
My-
Disrespect
my-
him a little bit.
My
Something a
bottom
little bit.
line for this is this. I know it could go, you know, there's various ways you could look at this. I think Bivol Benavidez makes the possible third fight interesting if Bivol's able to beat Benavidez. It's not as much interest in a third fight right now because it's too close to the first two and they were very similar fights. I think you throw in the spice of Bivol Benavidez and you may add intrigue to the third fight, or you may get a different star. You may get Benavidez entering the fray.
And I second all of that, but also I think win, lose, or draw, Bivol and Beterbiev will always sell a third fight. So even if Bivol loses to Benavidez and then
that's why
Benavidez beats Beterbiev, I still think Bivol.
But that's why trilogies typically wait on the third fight, because
Yep.
now you got that in your back pocket all the time.
You can always go back to that. Yep.
Well, it is going to be huge when it happens. Will there be spice in the middle? In the words of Paulie Malignaggi, we'll find out. And as we find out, Boxing Scene Today will deliver your boxing news from right here. Find out why millions are watching.